Welcome back, listener, after no technical difficulties at all. I'm Bubblegum.
I'm Toxic.
And today we're talking about remakes. Because I'm excited. A reignited trilogy got ignited. See, I'm so excited I can't even talk right. It got announced like a couple of weeks ago, and I am incredibly psyched for that because I've been wanting a Spyro remake for a long time because the new games just do not do the series justice. And I love Spyro. It was one of my first series as a kid, so I'm very excited for that.
Nice.
What do you think about remakes, Kat?
Before we do that, I've got a quote.
I guess you do have a quote.
I do have a quote. It's always that tricky thing with a remake, especially when it's something that's well-loved. You're coming to something that has a built-in fascination, but with that comes people ready to feel disgruntled that it's being remade at all.
That's David Tennant.
It is.
Because Kat does not have a David Tennant obsession.
No.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
I'm sure there was no influence on that whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
That's actually a very relevant quote. Actually,
I know.
as it turns out.
I was looking through remake quotes, and that was like the first one that I saw that I really liked, and it's like, that's so relevant to what we're talking about. And then I saw who did it, and it's like, that's our quote.
That's the one. There's no debate on it anymore. There's no questions.
I stopped looking. I was like, that's...
Oh my god, Kat.
That's it.
That's the one.
So this is something that I want to talk a little bit when we get to the how-to remake section.
Mm-hmm.
But just like to start off with my thoughts on remakes, I think that they can be really wonderful by team intention.
Right. I feel like a lot of remakes are just made with the intention of trying to get money.
Yeah.
Because they're remaking something that was already popular. And it's like, you have the name on it, so it's gonna draw people to it.
Right.
But like, those remakes are not usually very good.
Yeah. I feel like you should either... See, I feel like if you want to do something really new and original, you should probably do something new and original.
Right.
Instead of trying to force that into a remake. I feel like... There are exceptions, obviously, but I feel like generally that's the case. I feel like if you want to remake something, you should do it either with the goal to, like, update the story to an extent, or to, like, fix a problem with the story, or to get more into a different aspect of the story. And I feel like a lot of, at least in movies, I've only ever played, like, one or two remade video games. So it's like, but at least with movies, I feel like that gets lost a lot. That's not the intention. Right.
I feel like a lot of the time, I mean, one of the biggest culprits of this is Disney, with all the live-action remakes they've been doing, and very good for the most part, but, like, they don't really add anything. But I guess the thing is, like, even when they try to add things, they're adding, like, the wrong things. Like Cinderella.
While we're on the Disney remake topic, can I talk about Nostalgia Critic and Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
Because I was very offended. The, like, last several Nostalgia Critic reviews, he's gone, like, way too easy on movies that I absolutely hated, that I've been, like, waiting for him to tear apart. But then, like, he brought up Beauty and the Beast, the live-action remake, and his whole thing was that it was exactly like the cartoon, but with worse singing. And it's like, that's... Because that was a good example of them... They went back and they added stuff to the story. And there were flaws. Like, I'm not going to say that it was, like, the perfect Disney movie or the perfect remake. Like, there were still a lot of problems with the live-action Beauty and the Beast. But it expanded on the story.
Right.
To the point it was worth remaking.
I think one of the weird things was he picked on Gaston a lot, which I actually think was done better in the remake.
Yeah, Gaston was good.
I felt like a lot more of what was going on with Gaston's character. Like, he actually had a little bit of backstory to him. He, like...
Yeah, he, like, fought in a war.
Yeah.
And there was, like, yeah.
It's like, you could see a lot more of his, like, flaws from the get-go, because you could see a lot more of his anger issues.
Yeah.
But it was, like... yeah, I was like, he went, like, so hard on it, but like fucking the Through the Looking Glass got a pass, and I was like, oh, do not talk to me about Alice Through the Looking Glass. Is a good movie.
I couldn't even finish the review for that.
I don't blame you.
I can't. That one made me really mad. And then he did the Stephen King drinking game for the It miniseries, and then gave the new movie a pass.
I was like,
are you serious? And he was like, and then he picked on all the right things about Suicide Squad, but then he like gave it a pass at the end. He like backpedaled at the end.
Well, he also
like, actually
gave a pass to the Harley Joker relationship, and it was like, hold on,
yeah,
hold on. We have some issues with Nostalgia Critics' current
started out
setup.
so good.
Yeah, it's not.
But anyway,
right. If we talk too much about too long, we're gonna have to get into that controversy that's going on right now, and I'm not gonna get into that.
That's fair.
So
what I will say, I do really like the Beauty and the Beast remake.
Right.
I really liked because we got to see. It was a lot more about the love stories outside of Belle and the Beast, who still doesn't have a name.
Yep.
Prince Kit.
Prince Kit? Hold on.
No. I do like, though, that Prince Kit got a name in the Cinderella remake, but the Beast still doesn't have a name, even though they focused more on his character.
Absolutely. It's just totally there.
But because they focused a lot on Belle's parents' relationship, I felt like you really felt the love between, and even when she's having, like, when he takes her back to Paris. They have that whole little thing, which was like a really sweet song. It was a very touching moment, but it's like, it also gets into there's actually a line in there, you know, where an artist loved his wife, and it's like, that's what she remembers her parents' relationship being like, and that's what we get to see
the whole
reflected. And she has like the rose, like the rattle thing,
right,
and which is what she sent her father out for at the beginning of the movie. Like, that's what she wanted him to bring back.
And it was like,
and it all tied it together, and it was like a good.
I feel like what it did was it did take a lot of what was good from the original movie, but it like expanded on it. Like, I feel like this is one of the Disney movies that did it in the right way, because like we've talked about the first 10 minutes of the movie. It's not the greatest first 10 minutes of the
exposition
movie.
Is bad.
Yeah,
that's like
terrible.
One of the weakest points of the Beauty and the Beast remake.
But like, by the time we had like gotten pretty far into it, I was enjoying it, like, I feel like a lot more than I did the original. I feel like the original, and I mean, I watched it when I was younger, but I didn't really feel a whole lot for it.
Yeah.
Mostly because, like, the whole Belle-Beast relationship was not done as well as it could have been.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it brings up the whole idea of it's a Stockholm Syndrome movie, but I feel like in the remake, they did a lot more with it to sort of ease that problem.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like, it never, like, super was, but, like, I can see the argument for it, but I feel like in the remake there was, like, you couldn't
It was
really...
better.
Yeah. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Evermore.
And Evermore is...
It's, like, really good.
I was like, you were talking about that song, and I was like, yeah, that's my second favorite song in the movie after Evermore, as it turns out.
Yeah.
I was like, it was nice for the Beast to actually, like, have a song.
And he sings really well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he should have had more songs,
maybe. We finished that song, and I turned to Kat, and I was like, why is he not singing more? Why didn't he sing more? Why? I was a little bit upset.
But yeah, so, Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast is a good one.
A good.
And then on the opposite side of the scale, so I guess this is where we sort of get into muddy territory between adaptations and remakes. Mm-hmm. So an adaptation, to my understanding, is you're taking the source material and either you're changing, like, a significant, like point of it, or, like, you're setting it in, like, a new setting, or you're changing, like, one of the base points of it, and then using that to, like, retell the story, like, either as it is or, like, in a different way.
Yeah.
Whereas a remake is more doing the same thing, but trying to bring a new light to it. Or in the case of, like, the Psycho remake, it was, like, a shot-for-shot remake.
Remind me later to talk about shot-for-shot remakes, because I have a point about that, but I don't want to veer off into it right now.
Right.
But yeah,
so, the Alice in Wonderland remakes? Adaptations? I don't know what the fuck to call those movies. The Tim Burton ones.
See, that does get into really muddy territory, because they're done by the same company. They were marketed as remakes, if I remember correct.
Yes,
the first one was.
The first one was definitely marketed as a remake. And then
that being said,
wasn't.
They didn't draw from the source material from the movie. They drew from, like, the original source material from the book.
But then they tried to market it as a continuation. Then in the story, it tried to be a continuation of the Disney movie.
Right.
While drawing from the source material. It's a mess. I hate those movies so much.
Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland was not good.
Like,
I was gonna say it wasn't great, but it wasn't good either.
It wasn't good.
The Cheshire Cat was good.
The Cheshire Cat, I think aesthetically, some of the designs were very nice.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of, because, I mean, Tim Burton should be a production designer.
Let's back up a little bit.
Back
up. Just because, like, you're right, there were a lot of really cool aesthetic things in the Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. But seeing the stuff that Tim Burton had done up to that point, were you still disappointed?
Oh, absolutely.
Because, like, I was expecting the visuals to be a lot better and a lot creepier. And what was going on with the Red Queen? Why did we have that big body part subplot? What was that?
What's the question?
Why?
It's a weird fetish thing, Kat.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I don't like weird fetish things in my children's movies.
Right?
Like,
it was like, God. People, like, will still, like, defend these movies, and I'm like, no, you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what a good Alice in Wonderland adaptation is.
There are really good Alice in Wonderland adaptations, and I'd argue even the cartoon Alice in Wonderland was, like, it, you know, I think not accurate, but fantastic. Good movie.
It took, like, some of the most, I think what it did was it took some of the most visually pleasing parts from both the books and developed them into a visual format. Because it's like they took, like, the flower garden from Through the Looking Glass, but then they had, like, a lot of the content from just Adventures in Wonderland. But I feel like the White Knight scene maybe wouldn't have translated as well, like, as that flower scene would have.
The one thing that I do wish is that they had, because if you look at the original storyboards for the cartoon, it was a lot more focused on, like, they had the Jabberwock in there.
That would have been so cool.
But they thought it would be, like, too frightening for children, so they were like,
well, then they made Fantasia so white.
I know.
I've never watched Fantasia again.
And then
I was so scared of it as a kid.
And then they took out, because the Cheshire Cat had a song.
That's right.
That they had to take out because they wanted to get the allusion to the Jabberwock in there, since they took the Jabberwock out completely. So they're like, we'll just have the Cheshire Cat sing about the Jabberwock. And it's like really would have liked the Cheshire Cat song.
Really would have liked that. But yeah, so it's like...
Also, just for those of you who don't know, my bedroom is decorated to match the Cheshire Cat from the original Disney movie. That's my color scheme.
There's a little bit of favoritism towards the Cheshire Cat, as it turns out. It's a very nice looking room.
It's very nice.
But yeah, so it's like, oh god, those are the remakes that always get me, or like the ones that are just like, they market themselves as a remake and then they do something different, which I'm not opposed to.
And sometimes it works out.
Right, but first of all, don't market it as a remake if you're going to change, like, a big thing about it. Show that big thing that you're going to change about it, because if that's what you're giving people, that's what they should get. And there's also just remakes that are like, I'm gonna do this, but, like, bad. And it's like, why did you do that? Why would you hurt me this way?
So one thing that I would say, if you are going to do a remake, or even to some extent an adaptation, you want to take whatever draws you to that project, you still want that to come through in the version that you do.
Right.
Which, because you were talking about how, like, doing something new with it, I think one of my all-time favorite remakes is also, in a way, one of the worst remakes of all time.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going to talk about 13 Ghosts.
Ooh!
It was supposed to be a remake of the, like, classic horror movie, 13 Ghosts.
Right.
Tells a different story, has a different message.
Of course.
Is absolutely nothing like 13 Ghosts.
So we missed all of the checkboxes.
We missed all of the checkboxes. Because, like, if you watched both movies, you would not get the same message out of it. Like, the first one's, like, about not being greedy, I guess, was the message that I took away from it as a child, anyway. Like, because that can lead to your doom. Whereas, like, the message from the other one, I guess in a way, it was also it was like, don't be obsessed with stuff. But it wasn't about making a fortune, it was about, like, collecting ghosts, which objectively was the more interesting story. Like, I liked the remake better, even though I was very disappointed, because it was, like, it was such a different thing.
Right.
And it was one of those things where it's like, I thought for a long time maybe I was wrong, maybe it wasn't a remake, maybe it just had the same name, but it's like, I read some stuff with the director, and it was definitely supposed to be a remake, and I still don't really get that impression. But that being said, because it got into the history of all of the ghosts.
Right.
And it's like, that was really interesting. The original didn't do that. Like, we got to see that there were ghosts around, and they were like, they do have tragic backstories, they are ghosts, but we never got to find out who they were or what those backstories were. It's like the new one, like, really dived into that, and I loved that.
That's, like, really important, is it's like, you just gotta, like, it's gotta have something that's, like, if you're making it in the first place, like, first of all, why are you making it? If the answer is to make an absurd fortune off of an already established thing, then you should just throw it out the window if that's your primary reason for it.
Yeah.
But if it's to, like, expand on either your favorite thing or, like, a thing you wish you'd seen more of, then that's totally valid. That's, like, a good reason to make it.
Yeah. And it's like, I think something can be a good project without being successful as a remake.
Right. It's like
Ghosts.
Happy accidents. I can't really think of any in particular that also follow that, but, like, you got one.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And then there's also something, but it's a very high-risk thing, because I feel like for every movie that goes in too different a direction with it, I feel like most of them are worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Because House on Haunted Hill tried to do the same thing right after that, and I'll watch it forever because it has James Marsters in it, but it was a bad movie. It was not House on Haunted Hill. There was definitely a house.
It was there.
It was, like, barely haunted, and it was bad. And then there's, like, the thing that, I want to talk about this real fast. I want to talk about House of Wax.
Yes.
Because Vincent Price's House of Wax is one of the scariest movies ever, but it's it's like an old Vincent Price movie. It had no budget. The special effects are bad.
Right, of course.
Whereas, so it's like, they announced this House of Wax remake, and it's like, with the budget, because that was during, like, that whole torture porn thing.
Right.
You know, we had, like, Saw special effects, and it's like, we can do justice to this story now. And then we didn't at all. And it had, like, oh god, it was so bad. I was like, oh man. It's like, it's a fun movie if you ever just want to watch, like, a bad horror movie and have a good time.
Right.
Like, I'd recommend it, but it's not good. It's not scary, and it doesn't tell the story that House of Wax, because it was supposed to be about, like, what do you call him? The wax worker.
That guy.
Yeah, the guy who does the wax things. It should have been about him.
Right.
And he was like, but they get into this town and, like, the whole thing is made out of wax, and you're like, what? Why?
That's a little bit extreme, don't you think?
And then it's like, don't worry, we can claw our way out of this melting wax house. And it's like, you would burn to death, actually.
What are you talking about?
That is not how... Oh, boy.
That's not how wax works, as it turns out.
So that was, like... I feel like there are more examples. But... Other things that you can do with remakes, because you were, like, you talked about, like, elaborating on your favorite thing. I think one of the best reasons to make a remake is to elaborate on part of the story that you felt was glossed over.
Right.
And one of the best examples of that, I think, was in Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh, yeah, because they get...
Because it fills in the missing point in between... It fills in a lot of Michael's childhood, like, when he spent away in the institution. And it's like, we didn't get that in any of, like, the original Halloween franchise.
Which is, like, seems like, since that was, like, that's a pretty formative time of your life, that it would be a pretty important thing to, like, go through, and it's such.
Like, they got the beginning in there, he got the end in there, he did for the most part, he did justice to, like, all of the iconic things that we were expecting to see from a Halloween movie, but then the story just, like, expanded.
Right, it was just more.
So it was very different than the original Halloween, but it was good. Like,
right, it wasn't like... it was different, but in the good way.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, just taking something and doing it worse. The worst thing a remake can do is, like, expand the story, but then just not have it make sense.
Yeah.
Like, adding stuff in and then being like, and then this happened. It's like, well, why? Why did that happen? Though. Huh?
Or, like, tying back around to the Cinderella remake. One of the worst things I think you can do also is to focus on secondary characters at the expense
of your
main character. You shouldn't take it for granted that people are already invested in your main character.
Right, because as it turns out, I was not invested in Cinderella whatsoever. Right. I've never been invested in Cinderella.
She's the worst one, though.
Like
in terms of writing.
Right.
Except maybe Snow White.
I was gonna say Snow White's pretty high up there.
I always forget.
We can talk about Maleficent also.
Oh.
That's not a remake, but it is an adaptation, and what an adaptation it is. But yeah, like, in Cinderella, it was like, they were like, this is Cinderella, and she's like, she's good. And that's all you get. And it's like, what? I already took for granted that my main character was good. I know the story of Cinderella, but I don't care about Cinderella. That's what you're supposed to make me do here.
It's like, what I would have liked to have seen in the Cinderella remake, I would have liked to have seen her get mean.
Right.
Not for the whole movie, not just, like, mean Cinderella, but it's like, at the point where, like, she should have broken down, it would have been nice to see her break down.
Right.
And not put up with stuff anymore. And learn more about how to get back to that point of being good. Because it would have made her seem more human. Like, nobody's that good. Right. And it's like, I don't know why I'm just complaining about Tim Burton today, but it's like...
Why did you just gotta complain about Tim Burton?
It's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie was too good.
Oh, God.
He didn't do anything wrong. Like, the whole movie.
I blocked out the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake, as it turns out. Fuck.
And again, that's one of those things, because we got to learn a lot of things about Willy Wonka, which, whether or not we should have, is an argument of itself. Because he's supposed to be enigmatic and mysterious, and even though it was an interesting story, it detracted from the, mystery. But, putting aside whether or not we should have gotten that story about Willy Wonka, it came at the cost of making Charlie more bland than he already was.
Right, and
which was not worth it.
It's like, in the original, like, Charlie was, like, still sort of, like, but I mean, like, they did have that scene with the soda, where it's, like, showing he's, just as prone to do bad things as the other kids are.
Yeah.
Which is, like, of course, because he's a kid and they're in a candy factory. There's temptation, and you're gonna fall to temptation someday.
Yeah.
But it's what you do to make up for it that, like, really matters.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm just saying things. But the point is, it's ironic that, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is not about Charlie, it's about Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Which it shouldn't have been.
Right. This is not what I wanted. And that's what I feel like a lot of remakes are, is, like, if someone's remaking something, it's like, other people are also drawn to this thing. It's like people, whether it's the same reason as you, are drawn to something about that story, and when you remake it and you don't fulfill those expectations, is when it doesn't do well. Because it's like, obviously you can't, or you're not going to meet everybody's expectations. That's never how it happens.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like when you walk into a remake, you expect to have a similar feel to the original, and you either have to meet that feel, or you have to replace it with something better, or on par with it.
Let's talk about Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-mm.
Let's talk about wouldn't it be a fun idea if maybe we spent the whole movie thinking, like, feeling bad for Freddy because they burned him alive, and then it's like, just kidding, because he actually was a pedophile. It's like, we knew that. Like,
we knew that, though.
So why did you spend so much time trying to make us feel bad?
Right, like, what?
Like, what?
Why do you think I'm gonna feel
Why do you think they burned him alive? Like, I can't.
I don't know why you think that I'm gonna be rooting for the literal serial killer who is also a pedophile and child killer. Why are you trying to... What neuron pattern fired off that made you think this was a good idea? It was not.
No.
It was a bad idea.
But they, like, because that's the thing, because I think everyone wanted more, like, campy, fun Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and then we got, like, this gritty morality thing that was not, in fact, it wasn't as much of a gray area as they tried to make it out to be.
Right. It's like, I feel like you missed the point of that one. God. Some people shouldn't make remakes.
Oh, yeah.
I always have this horrible fear that, I'm really they're talking about the Mulan remake or whatever.
I would just like that to be good.
I would just like it to be good.
It would be nice.
But I heard they took all the songs out, so, like, what's the point?
Oh.
This is arguably one of the best Disney songs of all time in it, and you took it out? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a dumb. Not do that.
But yeah, it's like I've been burned too many times to have confidence in remakes.
That's fair.
Which I feel like is a good point. Did you want to talk about the shot for shot thing?
I do. One more thing, with the, like, bad remakes, because there are so many horror remakes.
I was gonna say, there are a lot of horror remakes.
What's his name? Alexandra Aja? I don't know how to pronounce that. That guy. One of my favorite directors. I can't pronounce the names of, like, most of my favorite directors at this point. Remade Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes. Mm-hmm. And it is one of the hardest movies to sit through. It's so over-the-top gory. And it's like, I don't...
God.
Which, and I think it was one of those things where it was like, at the time, when the original Hills Have Eyes came out, it was gory. Like, it messed people up. And then it was like, so remaking that to bring it up to today's standards, what if, like, we made it too gory? Because it came out, I feel like, in 2006.
Yeah, it was
the
around
remake.
there.
It
was in the torture porn era.
Yeah. It was, like, right when that craze had, like, really taken off. Mm-hmm. And it was, like, so you can see where they were coming from, but it's, like, in... retro, like, going back, it's like one of these movies is still just like, it was less scary because they pushed that concept too far. Right.
It's going, like, when you go too far with something, it loses that value that it had in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is like, why would you?
Because it's like the original Hills Have Eyes still holds up. Like, that's still a good movie, even though it really grossed people out at the time. But now it's been, like, 12 years or whatever since the remake, and you watch it and you're like, that's a lot of blood.
That's like, a lot of blood, as it turns out. I just remembered a good remake I can talk about, because it's sitting up there on the shelf, and I just looked at it. I love the remake of Doom.
Doom is good.
The Doom remake is I don't know if
That's the only remade game I've ever played through in its entirety, I think.
it's so good. Like, I'm one of these people that I don't play games through all the way because I don't have the attention span for it half the time. I got a good ways into Doom, and then Ben started playing it, so I watched Ben play it through because that's always how I've sort of watched my Doom content. But it's just everything about it is like so satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the story's really good because I didn't go into it for a hell of a lot of story. I went to see demons get fucked up.
I expected it to be a lot more like Doom in the sense that I wasn't going to care much about what was happening if I could shoot stuff in the face.
And you did.
And I did.
I think one of the greatest things they added into it was the finishing move system.
Now, I loved that so much.
Because it was like, it felt so raw and good because you're literally just destroying an army of these things with your bare hands.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like, was it Doom 3, the one that was like super story heavy?
Yeah.
Was like, but like in this one, like Doom guy didn't talk at all. You literally got all of his emotion through him like looking at his hands and like his actions, which was great because like it's just solid.
It's so good.
And you also never get to see his face outside of the Doom mask, which I feel like is really nice.
I was really worried about Doom.
Oh yeah,
because I had always, like, I always preferred Quake so much to Doom, like in the originals. And then like, I'm so wary about remakes anyway.
Right.
But I was very pleasantly surprised with Doom.
Yeah, I was like super excited. Like I watched Mark play it all the way through, and then I watched Ben play it all the way through, and like I would easily sit down and watch it again. I should re-pick it back up. As it turns out, I ended like right before you get the BFG, so the difficulty is pretty high. So like I tried to get back into it, and I was like, I can't do this. I've forgotten how to play the game. But no, I think it's absolutely one of the best remakes that's come out. I love it. We went and got the collector's edition because I was very excited about it.
I need to get my own copy.
Whoops.
Whoops.
See if you can buy it off Amazon. We got ours for like $40. So it was a collector's edition.
Nice.
And you get a cool remnant statue.
Nice. Yeah, I stole Aaron's copy.
Whoops.
He was like, I think I'm going to get the Doom remake, and I'm like, loser. And then he was at work, and I'm like, I'm going to play through this whole game.
Whoops.
Whoops.
And it was good.
I got him a lot of Steam achievements.
There you go. But one of those things where I think it was also, like, the original Doom has been out for, like, what, fucking almost 30 years at this point? It's been out for, like, 20, 30, something like that.
Yeah.
Like
26?
Yeah, that
maybe?
sounds about right. It's been out for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
And, like, the series almost, like, sort of faded out. I mean, obviously people were still, like, playing Doom, because porting Doom to anything is a big goof. But, they finally got a team who could do justice to it and properly update it to, like, a modern era of video games.
Yeah.
And still do something, like, a little bit different with it. Because, like, the ending, obviously, was not the same. It wasn't really the same story, but it was the same story, but, like, sort of in a different context.
Yeah.
Like, with stuff. Because, I mean, like, you're on Mars, you're killing aliens, demons, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But no, I love the Doom remake a lot.
It was good.
I'm trying to convince my dad to play it, but, like,
I think he'd like it.
I think he would, because, I mean, like, he likes those kind of games, so, because we played Chex Quest.
Chex Quest is exactly the same as Doom,
It's exactly, I mean, it's just reskin Doom, let's be honest. But I've been trying to convince him to play it, but I would have to get him over here to play the PS4.
That makes sense.
And that's a little more difficult than one would hope for.
I'm always trying to get my dad to play games that he has, like, no interest in.
Right?
I feel like he'd really like Grim Fandango.
I mean, that seems like
it's got that really offbeat kind of humor. And then I also, because there's Life is Strange, where, like, you have to take the photography class. You have to take, like, an obnoxious amount of an actual photography class at the beginning of Life is Strange.
So he just actually, like...
And then, like, all of the achievements you get for taking pictures of things. And it's like, Dad, you would love this game.
He's like, oh, maybe later.
Yeah.
Oh,
he doesn't trust me anymore, because the last game I made him play was 1916, and now he won't, like, trust me.
That's a game that should be remade.
Oh my god,
Updating 1916 into a whole game.
I would love that.
Odd, can you imagine?
So, to all of our, like, 6 people who listen to us, would you please...
Remake 1916.
Remake Der Oberkante Krieg.
God.
Please and thank you.
Oh no. We log off, someone's already made it. Oh no. How did they know? I'm trying to think what other remakes exist. Anime is an interesting one, because a lot of animes end up with surpassing the original source material, where it's like the obvious example is always Full Metal Alchemist, where it was faithful up until it was not.
And that's a fun one for me to talk about, because I have the unpopular opinion.
Yeah, you have the unpopular opinion of you like the first one better.
I do like the first one better.
But it's interesting, because I feel like both of them are very good in their own ways.
They did very different things, but they were both so good.
Right. I feel like Brotherhood moves a lot faster. Like, it feels more like a manga with the way it moves. It doesn't dwell on stuff as much as the original Fullmetal Alchemist did.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, like, if you're rewatching it, I feel like that's good. Because, like, you're like, okay, I've already seen this. We're going through, we're hitting everything. But, I mean, like, obviously, like, the big scenes still have their impact. If I have to watch Maze Hughes die one more time, I'm gonna lose my shit. But then, like,
so sad.
The original did have the impact of dwelling on things. Yeah. And, like, really building them up.
You can, like, they really let moments land in the first one.
Right.
Which is something that I really appreciate in.
Right. I remember when I was watching it, like, because I was watching it as it aired, and it was like, oh, it was a lot. I feel like Fullmetal Alchemist is always the one that makes me cry. It's very good.
It's one of I think it's probably the only anime that can consistently make me cry. Because it's like with most anime that kind of wears off after a certain point, where it's like, even the really sad stuff I get used to, and it, like, I don't cry anymore. But Full Metal Alchemist has never been like that for me.
I feel like
I always cry when Maze Hughes dies.
I always cry
at the Sewing Life Alchemist.
God!
Like,
Nina deserved better!
It doesn't even... It's like, as soon as that part starts, I'm gone.
As soon as you see her and that dog, you're like, no, 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 no! This can't happen to me!
That was something, speaking of remakes, the Full Metal Alchemist movie is bad. It's really bad. I hate it. But I did cry when Nina was there.
How can you not, though?
Because I was so detached from everything that was happening. It's like, this is the worst thing. I don't care about any of these people. Like, the story doesn't make any sense. This is so bad. And then Nina showed up, and, like, as soon as she showed up with that dog, I was crying. And it's like, I don't know why... in this dumb movie.
It's because, like, you, like, saw it, and then you immediately related it back to the actual material, and you were like, no, no, no. No, this can't be happening. You can't make me watch this in live action. And then they do.
And, like, it really bothered me, because the special effects for the movie were really inconsistent, but they were better there, I swear, than they were in the rest of the movie. I was like, this is...
It's not fair.
Personally attacking me at this point.
Ugh. Oh, Fullmetal Alchemist, though.
It's good.
It's good. I feel like the original anime and the remake / continued adaptation of the manga are on par with each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the things that I was like, it was remade, and the remake was just as good. Which is nice. It's nice when they do justice to things.
Yeah.
I like that.
So Shot-by-shot remakes.
Yes. So this is the, like... I've never understood them.
It's one of those things, I feel like in concept, if you're updating, with horror movies, if you want to update special effects, or like with sci-fi, any speculative genre, if you want to update special effects, that's like the only situation where I feel like a shot-by-shot remake would be okay.
Right.
I've never seen them just do that in a way where... The obvious is Psycho.
Right, that's the big one.
Which is literally a shot-for-shot remake all the way through from beginning to end. Except for the girl had, like, the really terrible haircut. Which was distracting. But I don't really feel like they did more with the special effects.
Right.
It was just the same. And it's like, if it's exactly the same, there's no point in doing this again.
The only difference was it even in color? Was it in color? Or no, was it in black and white?
I think you could... I'm pretty sure you could watch it in both.
Okay.
I think there was... I watched the black and white one.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like an option in the menu screen. So I didn't see the color one. I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
So literally the only difference...
So literally, there was just a distractingly bad haircut.
And maybe color if you watched it with color.
Yeah, and color if you chose that option. The thing... But there are also times where doing a shot-for-shot remake would be a lot better than what happened. A lot of my friends, not to, like, call out my friends on our podcast...
But you're calling out your friends.
But calling out my Tumblr friends. Right before I watched... Oh, and this is kind of timely. Martyrs just had its 10-year anniversary.
That's right.
It's my favorite... It's, like, one of my all-time favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
It is 100% my all-time favorite foreign film.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really good. All of my friends told me, right before I sat down to watch the remake, the American remake, that it was not to, like, get my hopes up, and it's like, I was not going to. Like, they're like, it's a shot-for-shot remake of the original, and that got me really excited, because it's like, you know, it's a French-Canadian independent film. Like, Martyrs didn't have a high budget. Right. They had some of the coolest imagery, but they had to do it really low budget. And it's like, if it's a shot-for-shot remake where we just do good gore, I'm all about that. And I got so excited going in. It's not the same movie at all. First of all, it's not a shot-for-shot remake. There are definitely shots that you can tell were inspired by shots from the original, but they're very few and far between. And I was like, has anyone seen the original Martyrs? Like, did the team behind this watch the movie?
What? What's a movie?
They got rid of, like, because Martyrs, had, the really cool thing about Martyrs was, like, all of the designs for all of the, I was gonna say the monsters, they're not, monsters, but, like, the victims, I guess, of this society, they've been through hell, and it's like, you can see it. Like, when you look at them, you can tell what kind of stuff they've been through, because it was all so obvious in the way that their character was designed.
Right.
And it's like, they had, like, all these really unique torture implements that were developed for the movie that are still attached to these people that you see after the fact. And it's like, it's like what stands out about the movie. Like, it was a really interesting concept, it was a good story and everything, but if you think back to Martyrs, you think about all of the people who, you think about the girl who's, like, all of the skin's been peeled off except for her face, so it looks like this almost alien thing, because it's just a face, like, floating on red, and it was such a visually appealing thing. They got rid of all of that.
Oh, of course!
None of that was there. They replaced it with this, none of the main characters died. They stopped that. They're like,
of course.
Everyone's gonna survive in the end. It's gonna be a feel-good story. There was still a secret organization, but you never got to find out what they were doing or why. So, and it's like, they took away everything, and they replaced it, instead of, because there's this one girl in Martyrs who is, like, the first person to be rescued from it. And you see her, and she's got, like, all of this metal has been, like, nailed onto her. And it's, like, it was such a visually disturbing thing. They replaced her with, like, a little girl who was totally fine. Like, she'd been kidnapped and held like the others, but she's totally fine.
Of course.
It's just like a normal kid. And like they took that and it's like, and she also makes it out fine. Everyone gets a happy ending. And then they replaced all of those visuals with like really dumb horror tropes that they had to squeeze in to make sense of they have like the slow nursery rhyme thing.
Of course.
Like while the two friends are bonding at the beginning of the movie, it's like they grew up in an orphanage together and it's sad. And it's like, in the original, we just saw that they were friends.
Right.
Like, it was well written enough that we didn't need the history that they grew up in an orphanage together. We didn't need the slow song. And then when they rescue this child, they go back to the slow nursery rhyme. Like during a chase scene, and you're like, what are you doing? Please stop. But it's like, a shot-for-shot remake would have been the way to go for the American Martyrs. And the other, like, because the dub is bad. Like, the American dub is bad. And it's, like, one of the hardest parts of watching Martyrs is if you don't speak French, you have to put up with these really terrible dubs.
Right.
Because they're easier to find than the subtitled
of course.
one. And it's, like, so, yeah, just translating it and
would have
been perfect.
I think the thing, is if you're going to do a shot-by-shot remake, your story already has to be visually interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say the cinematography in Psycho is bad. It's good.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
But the cinematography in Psycho is not what stands out to me.
Right.
Like, it's the story. Like, it's the whole tension building up in the Bates Motel.
Yeah.
Like, but, like, with something like that, or, like, any, like, David Lynch films.
Oh, yeah.
Like, anything that's, like, based on its visuals as a main storytelling point, that's when a shot-for-shot remake is more appropriate. Because, like, all those visuals mean something.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they don't in, like, regular films, but I mean, like, they have more impact.
Yeah.
Than they would in, like, any other film. You know what I mean.
Yeah, that's, like, when that's your focus, when that's, like, such a big part of the storytelling.
Right. It's like, you wouldn't remake Grand Budapest Hotel and take out all of that visual imagery. Because that's not how the movie works.
It wouldn't make any sense.
Or,
like, what's that? Moulin Rouge?
Moulin Rouge, yeah. Yeah, because that was a big, like, the
visuals meant something to the story.
Right, and it's like, when you have, like, set designers who are, like, very good at what they do, and cinematographers who are very good at what they do, that's part of what you want to pay homage to when you're remaking it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm sad just after what you described to me. That sounds so bad.
The American Martyrs is one of the, and it's one of those things, because my mom watched it, and she's like, it's fine, it's a fine movie, and it's like, it's fine if you don't look at what it was supposed to be,
right?
I guess. It still has a lot of weird horror tropes that didn't fit in, but, like, it's objectively a fine movie if you've not seen the original, I guess.
Right.
But
here's a adaptation that was, this is another one of those adaptations that, could have done well. I'm talking about The Mummy.
Oh, God, yeah.
The 2000, whatever, the latest Mummy movie.
I think that was just last year. I think it was
2017? God, I don't even remember. I blocked it out so fast. But what gets me about the Mummy movie is it's like, so there was the original Mummy, and then there was, like, the remake Mummy that everybody knows. Like, that's the one that, like, I always think of because that was the first one I saw. Yeah. I didn't see it, but, like, that's the imagery I saw.
Yeah.
Right. And then we got the 2017 one. What the fuck happened?
That's so sad, because it was one of those things where it was like, I knew it was going to be bad, but the way that they were trying to kick off a trend of, like, turning, like, classic horror movies into what the MCU is right now.
Right, it wanted
and it's
to,
like,
the
I
dark
would have
universe.
loved that if it had gone well.
Well, but
we got the Mummy, and if they just want to stop there, that's fine.
Yeah, it's like they were really sure of themselves when it came to that, and it was like you were too sure of yourself.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you didn't capture the original Mummy whatsoever.
Yeah.
You also didn't capture what people liked about the remake of The Mummy whatsoever. You just had, like, weird Tom Cruise stuff going on.
Not ideal.
And it didn't make sense in the context of the story, or in this universe you were trying to develop, or in sequence to any of the other mummies that have previously existed. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's so much to miss.
Yeah.
People got paid to work on that movie. How do I get paid to make shitty things?
Yeah. I could do that. That could be my job.
We already made the skull. We're famous.
Ooh.
Oh,
Nice.
it's timely. It was a very good adaptation.
It was about as accurate as the new Mummy.
How dare you? It was more accurate than the new Mummy. How dare you? There was a part where we just read from My Immortal.
Oh no, I didn't mean to My Immortal, I meant to, like, the Mummy.
Oh,
it was as relevant to the story as the Mummy, as the remake.
Well,
I'm sorry, that was
okay, I understand
misleading.
Now. I suppose I can forgive you for that one.
They should give us millions of dollars for that.
Oh, ooh. Gonna buy that scratch-off ticket and get $1 million. It's gonna say, thanks for remaking the money, smiley face.
Nice.
It's good. Fuck. I wish things were good. I wish I wasn't so sour about everything that happens in media. But I am.
Also, here's a fun side topic that we should maybe expand on more in a different episode. But how do you feel about, like, not remakes, but franchises that have been continued after a long period of time?
Well, like, I feel like if you're bringing something new to it, like, or if you're breathing new life into it, the thing I'm thinking about is Resident Evil.
Right.
Like Resident Evil 7.
That's fair.
Love Resident Evil 7.
Everybody did.
Not
me.
Not you.
Everybody else did.
Everyone else did. Or, like, even, like, Doom counts as that, because Doom is one of the most iconic series, but
that's fair.
We haven't gotten a game of that until New Doom.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're gonna breathe new life into it, that's very good. It's again a thing, if you're doing it out of love, if you're, like, bringing new life to a series because you want to see it continued in a positive way, then as long as you do a good job with it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're just trying to, like, rehash the old stuff and make money off of it, it's not.
It shows.
It shows. It really shows.
The Mummy.
The Mummy. But yeah, I feel like it can be good. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, the Spyro Reignited trilogy is like, it's not being continued, but it's like, we haven't gotten, like, a Spyro game in a while, which is good, because the new Spyro games, like, everything after 3, like, once they moved it over to, like, the GameCube, were bad.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they missed a lot of what was great about the original Spyro, which was, Spyro's, like, a sassy dragon who is just like, I'm gonna kick everything's butt until I get what I want. And it was good. Like, it didn't need a whole lot of, like, gritty story or anything. It was just, like, a fun platformer game. It was just good. But then, like, when they tried to, like, reboot it, it's like they made it, like, really dark. Like, Spyro was, like, an orphan who was adopted by dragonflies, and, like, all the other dragons were dead, and it was like, what the hell is this? No!
Nice.
It's a lot funnier, it's a lot better if I'm saving the dragons, and they try to give me advice every time I free them, and I'm just like, you're weird and old, I'm leaving. It's like, it was good. It was just, so, like, with this reboot of it, it's not a reboot, it's just updated graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's like the Crash Bandicoot, where I feel like it was made out of love and wanting to preserve the series. And I mean, they probably wanted money also. That's probably part of why they made it, but, like, I feel like it's been enough time that if the people behind it didn't, like, really enjoy the series, it wouldn't be being made, you know?
That makes sense.
So, what are your feelings on
I think it's good. I haven't seen it as much with remakes specifically,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that it's been good.
Right.
I have seen it, I guess, a lot with remakes, but it's just always been in a bad context. But, like, in continuing something after a really long time, like, I really like Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Oh, yeah,
It's,
the
like,
new...
Really... It was a fun way to pick up Evil Dead.
Which is good because it's a good series.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it has a lot of potential
And they
outside
got,
of the movies also.
Yeah, and they got everyone back for it,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice. Just a good time.
It's like, has a lot of, like, there's that effort put in that we talked about. Like, you can see how much has gone into it to make it as good as it is.
It's good.
I like it when things are good.
Although, the Evil Dead remake,
Ooh.
unpopular opinion, is the worst.
Oh no!
That was another thing, and it really killed me, because Sam Raimi was one of the producers for the Evil Dead remake. So it was his project. He was, like, updating something that he loved and cared about, like the original story that he was trying to tell, but they missed the line of, because part of the beauty of the Evil Dead, and especially Evil Dead 2, is that it didn't ever take itself too seriously.
Right.
And what the Evil Dead remake did was it tried to take those, like, goofy, campy, this would never work, obviously, moments, and put them into a movie that the rest of the time took itself too seriously. So it was like...
The tone didn't match.
It didn't match. And it's like, you know, it starts out really gritty and cool, and the effects are great, and the aesthetic is very intense and scary, and you're like, yeah, but then they're, like, defibrillating people on the wrong side of their chest with car batteries, and you're like, no.
Wait a second.
Hold on.
No.
Let's not do that. And it's like, and it's like, you can't get too mad about the science not making sense when you're remaking Evil Dead. And I don't want to complain about really nice aesthetics, but as a pair, it didn't match. And it's like,
like, it needed...
It needed to be campier all the time.
Right. Like,
for that to work.
Like, if it was gonna... It needed to choose whether it wanted to be super gritty or if it wanted to stay campy.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Doing both was...
I'd say it's nigh impossible to do both.
Yeah.
Like, those two subject matters just do not go together.
Right.
At all. Because it's like, one is like fun, and the other is... If you're doing something gritty, it's supposed to immerse you.
Mm-hmm.
So... And campiness is supposed to be, like, making fun of itself.
Yeah.
So
doing both.
You can't make fun of yourself. I mean, it's a different kind of immersion in a campy thing, because it's like, you can be really involved in the story, but, like, with the immersion that gritty does, it's like, you're supposed to feel it, where with campiness, you don't, you know. It's supposed to be, like, an objective thing.
Yeah. I'd argue, even though this isn't what it is, I'd argue that as an Evil Dead remake, Cabin in the Woods was more effective.
Right?
Because it had, like, I think that's as close as you can get to being gritty and campy. It was definitely more on the campy side, but it told a story that you could care about and get into. Because it wasn't too gritty. It didn't try too hard.
Right.
Like the Evil Dead remake did in reality.
I think one of the things that Cabin in the Woods going, because it started off campy.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't try to make you take it seriously from the get-go.
Yeah.
It was like, this is campy. This is like something you can have a good time with.
It shows people at the office of the,
Monster place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foundation?
Yeah, Foundation. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it starts off there, and then, like, it hits you, right, like, it's just, like, people joking around at the office and having a good time and making, like, spooky jokes, and then it, like, slams in with that, like, 80s title frame, and you're like, this is gonna be a fun time.
Right, it's, like...
Like, the Evil Dead starts off talking about Mia's drug addiction, and it's like, that's just a sad place to start a movie.
I was like, oh, God, this is awkward, and I guess this is the time I'm in for. And then when you switch it so violently, it does not work, as it turns out.
It's not great.
So I guess we can sort of move on to, like, more of a... What would you like to see remade?
Ooh, I'd really like... See, it's hard, because it's like, I feel like every time I say I want something to be remade, it gets remade in, like, a really terrible way.
It's bad.
And it's like, I regret saying that I ever wanted this. Like, The Evil Dead. Or, well, like... What was the other one?
Martyrs?
Martyrs, I guess, also is one. Oh, House of Wax. Duh.
There you go.
Like, I really regretted all of the... Friday the 13th, I thought would be a really good remake.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that, and it was sad. I would really like to see... I would like to get one of those done well. House of Wax. I'd really like to see a good House of Wax remake.
Oh, you're asking a lot there.
Yeah,
that's off the list. We removed that one.
And I'd really like to see 1916 remake. For the Vita.
Oh my god.
Get me those.
Hit me up with that, Velociraptors.
Yeah, what about you? Oh, did you hear they're remaking Charmed?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like,
I got really mad about it, because they said that they were going to put a feminist twist on it.
But
and it's
it
like,
is.
what show were you watching
What are you
that you don't think
watching?
it was a feminist show already?
how dare you? They better still be adorable. I hope it's not one of those things where it's like, when they're like, we're gonna put a feminist twist on there, and then they take out, like all the femininity the characters have, where it's like, it's like, hey, hold on, that's not, no! You're enforcing gender stereotypes, stop it! Stop it!
I really liked, because Holly Marie Combs got after them, and she was like, you don't understand how much work everyone on that show put into it. Don't remake them. It's our show. I was like, good for you.
Good for you. It's like, I'm not opposed to it, but I mean, like, clearly they're not respecting it when they say that, so it's like, you probably aren't the right people to be remaking that.
And then also, like, Netflix put the original series into the teen comedy section, which
How dare
I was
you?
like,
I don't know about that one.
I feel like that's incorrect.
Oh.
But, what are some remakes that you would like to see?
I was gonna say Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park is already perfect. It doesn't need to be remade.
Don't remake something that you can not improve on.
Right, because that's the thing. It's like Jurassic World was like one of those expansions. Did not need to happen. If it was gonna happen. It should have been done a lot better. It was like one of those things. I read like a post on Tumblr, and it was like talking about how if they were gonna do that, instead of just having like corporate people like in charge of the park, it should have been the two kids from the original movie. And I was like, shit. That's brilliant!
That would have been good.
Why is that not there? But you'll pry my love for Jurassic Park from my cold dead hands. It is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I'm trying to think. I think I would really like it if they remade Nights. Like, did an actual like update, because it's like they did Journey of Dreams like a while ago, and it was like subpar. It was like I mean like I really enjoyed it when I was a kid, but I feel like if I went back and played it now, like the controls were like super janky, and it was like it could have been done a lot better. So I think it would be nice if they would like remake that as like either like an HD port or something, because the visuals are beautiful.
Yeah.
In it, I'm not in love with the main character. I don't know what you're talking about. I think it'd be cool to get a different Sailor Moon reboot.
Oh, yeah, I was really underwhelmed with the Sailor Moon reboot.
One of the things is, like, because everyone's told me not to watch it, and it's like, I've seen it, the animation is very pretty.
Yeah.
But it's like, one of the things Annika was telling me, because she was like, don't watch it, it would be super disappointing, is they got rid of a lot of, Serena's, like, goofiness.
Yeah.
Like, everything's too pretty all the time, but one of my favorite things about it was how silly she is.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay. So if we could get, like, an actual, like, good reboot of Sailor Moon, that'd be sweet.
That would be nice.
I'd like that. I'm trying to think. What else would be good to remake?
While you think about that, do you have one?
Oh, I was just thinking, I think I would like a new Little Shop of Horrors would be good.
I feel like it could be time for a new Little Shop of Horrors.
I think it's about time, because here's the thing, is, I really like the stage version of Little Shop of Horrors, so I feel like if they could remake it right now with, like, the cast that they had in the, like, latest Broadway version, like, I would love to see Carrie Butler do Audrey, as, like, and it could, like, end the way the actual stage show ends.
That would be great.
Wild idea.
What?
I know.
That's insane.
You were gonna say. You had a thing you said.
Oh, I wanted to bring up, too, that there are things, like, if your source material is good, there are things that are probably always going to be good remakes. I'm going to talk about The Great Gatsby, because there are a lot of Great Gatsby movies.
That's true.
I mean, each one has, like, highlights and lowlights, but they're all decent.
Right.
Like, because the book is good.
Right,
And
it's a good book.
Makes for a good movie. My favorite one was the DiCaprio one. Because, and why I kind of wanted to talk about it is because it did do something different. Nick is, in all of them, it's just like Nick telling the story of Jay Gatsby, but in the DiCaprio one, also, I like Tobey Maguire.
Right.
So it was fun for Nick. Anyway, but his therapist is telling him that he needs to write to work out, like, some of his problems, and it's him, like, all of the narrations, that, like, all of the voiceovers and stuff is him writing this book about Jay Gatsby instead of just talking about it, which I thought was, like, a really interesting...
Yeah,
that's something you don't see in the movies, in, like, any of the other film adaptations of The Great Gatsby.
Right, it's just sort of... It's taken out the book angle of it.
Yeah.
And I think when you're working from a book, a really interesting thing to do is use that book angle.
Yeah. And I'm kind of surprised they were the first, like, that was the first time it was done. I've seen 4 Great Gatsby movies. I don't know if I don't know how many there are. I don't want to say it, like, I've seen every Great Gatsby movie ever. And it was the first one to do this. But it was the first one I ever saw to do it, and I've seen, like, a decent amount of them. But it was a really... Because it was, like, it probably didn't need to be remade.
Right.
Because we have gotten one every couple of years forever, but they did do something new with it, and it paid off.
I think what I would like to see, I'd like to see more remakes of movies that were bad to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, concepts that were very good, but they were executed poorly.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is a lot of Netflix movies.
What?
A
bad Netflix movie?
I would like to see a remake of Blades, I think.
Yes. Someone remake Blades.
Don't remake Blades. It's already perfect.
Golden concept.
The ice
is melting.
You can't beat that line delivery.
No. It was my father's machine.
God! God, the scene where it comes up and it's the lawnmower and it's the fucking balloons on it. It's like, this is the Jaws of lawnmowers. That's what it was.
That's our episode title, The Jaws of Lawnmower.
God, it's true though! That's what it was! But no, I think I would like to see more bad movies remade into something good.
There are a lot of really good concepts that get wasted, and then someone's like, this is a bad movie, we'll never touch it again.
Right, and it's like, no, let someone good touch it.
Yeah,
let someone good touch it, it's fine. It's okay. I feel like it happens a lot with, like, I feel like young adult movies and, like, fantasy movies, this especially happens with, because people try something new and they just don't execute it right, so it's like you lose a lot, and I mean, like, the young adult series already gets a lot of flack, because people are like, young adults don't know anything, and it's like, stop it. So it's like, but I feel like there's so much potential that just doesn't get its full chance to shine.
Yeah.
And it's like, man.
I'd love to see a Dollhouse remake.
Yeah.
Like, independently funded Dollhouse remake.
Right, I think I don't know, like, if it would be better as, like, a show or, like, a movie, but, like, I feel like, because that's one of the things, it's like, I feel like Dollhouse had so much potential, but, like we said on the last time, I mean, I just couldn't get into it.
They couldn't live up to that amount of potential with the restrictions that they had.
Right.
It's like, I'd love to, I feel so guilty saying that, like, I feel like me a few years ago would punch myself now for saying this. I don't know if I trust Joss Whedon to do it at this point.
I wouldn't.
I trust Drew Goddard to do it.
Definitely.
If he wanted to work on my Dollhouse remake.
There you go. I'm thinking...
What if I just started sending Dollhouse scripts to Drew Goddard?
There you go.
He's like, I don't know you. This isn't my show. What are you doing?
We'll get the message eventually. It's fine. But, yeah, it's just like...
But that was one that really didn't live up to its potential. I feel like a lot of horror movies have really good ideas. There was a period of time, like in horror movies, where it was like, you couldn't, because everyone had expected a twist for everything.
Right.
So instead of backing down and being like, it's okay to just tell a story without trying to surprise people, they like doubled down on it, and it's like, actually, it wasn't this or this, it was this third thing, and you're like,
it's like,
what?
You didn't need to do that.
So it's like, they'd waste like 5 or 6 horror concepts trying to squeeze it all into one movie to surprise you. And a really good example of that, I feel like, is Pulse. Like the American
that's right.
Pulse. Which was a remake. It was an American remake of a Japanese film that might also have been a little bit too convoluted, honestly. But the American one, they're like, there's a website where you can watch people kill themselves. And then it was like, but actually, it's ghosts. Because those people, like, come back. And it's not like a... And they haunt your computer, and you're like, fine, and it's like, and then it's a virus that can spread to other technology, and you're like, that's
a lot.
Fine, okay, and then they're like, but actually, it's, like, whoever, and they just, like, kept going and going and going until there were, like, too many steps for this thing. And
right.
It's like, I wish they'd not done that,
because... I wish they had not done that, as it turns out.
If you'd done, like, one of these concepts, it would have been good.
No.
But you can't have all of those things.
You know what I would like to see scrapped and remade is more Disney villain movies. I would like...
Yeah, just start from the, like, go back to the beginning. Go back to the drawing board.
Right. I don't know if this is technically a remake, more so as it is an adaptation, but I mean, like, I want more Disney movies where I get to see the villain being a villain.
Yeah.
Don't hit me with that anti-hero bullshit. They can be convinced they're a hero. That's fine.
They have to be the villain,
They have to be the villain!
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to.
Right. I would like to forget Maleficent.
I would like Maleficent to be better. Like a different movie entirely.
As it turns out, I would like it not to be the way it is. But yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's really any other remakes I'm, like, barking up the tree for.
I feel like there would be... I feel like if I were allowed... I'd really like to see, like, some older video games remade.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
I'd really like a more modern I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Oh, yeah, that'd be so good. I mean, with the graphics, we have... Because the graphics in that are already disturbing.
Yeah.
But I feel like even if they just, like, updated, like, the pixel graphics, or they went, like, with a full, like, first-person thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be really good.
It would be very interesting. I'd like to see that.
I think it'd be interesting. I want a Chex Quest remake. I want an HD Chex Quest remake. That was my childhood, man!
Oh, man.
And that's not, like, because I want, like, a serious adaptation of it. I just think it'd be really funny.
It would be a lot of fun.
It's, like, because you see, like, fan mods and stuff like that, and I'm like, please give me the whole thing. Please, I'm begging you! I think that would be really fun to see.
That'd be good.
I think it'd be fun to update, like, funny things, like things that are like jokes, but then like double down on it and be like, now it's even more ridiculous and in HD. Because who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love HD?
I would play HD Chex Quest.
I would also play HD Chex. I would watch you play HD Chex Quest because I don't.
Nice.
I watch people play video games. I don't play them as much as I should. I think I would also like... I mean, Pokemon Red has already technically been remade. Mm-hmm. I would like another remake of it on the current engine that they have.
That's fair.
Mostly because, like, I don't want to play through actual Red again because it's too difficult for me. And I do not have access to Fire Red. And I think I've been spoiled by how easy the new system is.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not like I'm opposed to, like, a hard Pokemon game, but I mean, like, when you play the way I do, which is just catching everything, as opposed to, like, just sticking with one team and, like, grinding it out, I feel like I would have a lot more fun with it. And I feel like they could do a lot with it. Like, I feel like they could update it a lot. I would like to be able to customize my trainer.
That would be nice. That's one of the things. I got, like, really disappointed when I played Alpha Sapphire. Because it was, like, there were so many cool features in X, and then Alpha Sapphire came out, and it was not a lot like Sapphire, honestly.
And it's, like, which is fine. I mean,
like, it was okay. It was fine. I just, like, I had been hoping for more.
Right. It's, like, because it didn't have Pokemon Me in it, did it?
No.
No, because I feel like it had another system for that. It's like, one of the things I wish they had kept is because they had the Pokemon Radar system. I wish they had kept that.
Yeah.
Because following a guide to catch everything in areas so much.
Yeah.
But it's like, if they remake, I mean, personally, what am I talking about? I want a remake of Silver so I can have Cyndaquil, obviously. But I feel like if they went back and did that, I'd want it less like Alpha Sapphire, in that you can still customize your trainer. You still have your Pokemon interaction stuff, like whatever the variation would be for that region.
Yeah.
You would still have, like, all the, like, the cool new things they added, like, in Gen, like, 6 and 7. But then just, like, and it can even happen in, like, a previous time or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, I would really like it to have the new features, but go back and do the story again. Because, like, that's my whole childhood, man. I still have my Silver cartridge. It's still playable. The time is broken. I will never be able to get an Umbreon or an Espeon, whichever one it is. I don't know what the time is broken to.
Nice.
But I still have it. And I still have my Typhlosion.
That's
my
important.
little baby. My little baby Typhlosion. It's baby.
Speaking of games that were our childhood, I'd really like to see a remake for Pandora's Box.
Oh, yeah.
That I could get on Steam, because Steam does not have Pandora's Box. Nobody played this game, apparently, except for me.
Except for you.
As
I understand, that's how a lot of things go.
Sad, because it was such a good game.
What do you think about, like, a Quake remake? Would you use that? Do you have that?
See, that's one of those things that would make me so nervous. I'd play it. I feel like I'd be mad. I feel like there's no way that it would be as good as I would want it to be.
What if it was by the same people that did Doom?
If it was... See, that also freaks me out a little bit, because it's like, they did such a good job with Doom, but I feel like... I almost feel like that would be too much. I feel like it would make the new Quake and the new Doom too similar, instead of focusing on the differences between the two. I'd give it a shot, but I'd be concerned.
Right. It's hard to make lightning strike twice.
Yeah.
It's like, we got the one excellent remake. It's hard to have the confidence that will happen again.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
Which, oh man. Can you imagine? Oh, I'd have so much fun platinum hunting a new Quake game.
I was gonna say
that would be like all my...
Suddenly, platinum hunting's not sure anymore. Like it has been for all the other games you've been playing lately.
Yeah, lately it's been not good platinum hunting for me. That is, in a weird way, even though it didn't have trophies or achievements, Quake 3 is kind of what got me started on that whole thing. Because they had, like, the badge system.
Yeah.
Where it was, like, at the end, if you hadn't died in a round, you got a badge for it. If you had high enough accuracy, if you had, like, over 80% of your shots hit, or whatever, you got a badge for that. You got one for, like, killing enough people, and it was just, like... I loved getting those so much.
It was
They were just, like, piling up on my
the trophy before trophies,
Yeah.
if you will. It's good. I like games with rewards, as it turns out. One of the things I'm hoping for in the Spyro Reignited is that there's one thing I really hope they fix from the third game, and it's like, because after you get 100% in it, you get to go, so like in the first game, you got to go to the treasure hoard, and you literally just got to spend an entire level just collecting gems, and like, it was so fun and like relaxing, because it was like the enemies didn't hurt you at all, like, and you didn't die. Like, you could like crash, but then you would just restart. You wouldn't like lose a life or anything like that. But so, that was the best. They fucked it up in the third game, because, like, they added in, like, a bunch of mini-games that you had to do to, like, unlock more areas, and it was, like, they were really bad. They were, like, really horrible mini-games, and I was like, this is literally impossible.
Ugh.
Like, this is so bad, so I really hope they, like, fix that. That's what I'm hoping for.
That is one thing, like, yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
I could get behind that.
I would like it if they would fix shit in games when they remake them.
The other thing that I will say about if they did Quake trophies, achievements, it's something that I really appreciate about a very few percentage of games. Talk about Five Nights at Freddy's real quick. Because there was an incentive, like there was a bonus system for if you went and you did crazy things, but it wasn't like achievements.
Right.
And it really counted on the fact that you, as the player, would want to get all of those things. It's like when I went through to get all of my certificates in Pizzeria Simulator, like, I didn't get Steam achievements for that. It was just something that I felt I had to do.
Right, because you wanted to get all of them.
And that's something I didn't really realize that I had missed, was just playing games for the sake of playing them, and completing them for the sake of completing them, as opposed to, like, bragging rights.
Right. Because as it turns out, bragging rights are nice, but it's even nicer when you are actually that committed to the game. It feels that good to play. It's, like, part of why, like, it's like I'm platinum Alice, but I mean, like, I'm not a platinum person. I'm doing it specifically because I just want excuses to keep playing the game. Yeah. Because it's a good game. It's a fun game.
And that's another thing, like, when you there's no trophy for collecting all of the bottles.
Right.
So it's like, you can go back and do that, and it isn't for a trophy, it's just something that
it's like
you want to do.
Right. It's just, you get to see parts of the level that you didn't see before. And even if it's just a tiny little alcove, it still means something. It's nice.
I wouldn't like to see it get remade. I would have liked the patch for the original American McGee's Alice to be nicer when they moved it over to the console.
I would have liked better controls, and, like, they probably could have updated the graphics a little bit. Like, it didn't have to be, like, a complete overhaul, but it would have been nice. Yeah. To have it a little more, to not just be a port. Yeah. Because, I mean, like, ports are fine, but, like, it did not. It was bad for the PlayStation.
It was really bad for the PlayStation.
I remember there was I like came over that one time and you were like playing it, and I was like, you knew where like the entrance was to the building, but you couldn't get there. Yeah. Or like it was like weirdly hidden in the port, and it was like, that's not right.
It like glitched out so that you had to be standing directly in front of it to be able to see the thing.
It's like, hold on.
So it's like I was running up to it and the door wasn't there, and I like couldn't figure out what was going on.
That was like a whole like 15 minutes.
I finally caved in and looked up a guide, and it was like telling me right where I had been the whole time, and I'm like, what?
What are you talking about?
Like, I know that's where it should be. It's not. And then it was, but I had to stand directly in front of it, which is hard because it's like you turn when you move. So right. It's like I had to like walk sideways across the entire length of wall.
It's good. That's healthy. That's good gameplay.
So I wouldn't want a full remake, but if we could get like a nicer,
right, like a Insane trilogy or Reignited trilogy, like just a nice HD port. Yeah, with good controls.
I'd like that.
The controls are very important. The first game doesn't have stellar controls. No, as it turns out.
Which like it was fine for the PC. Not great on the PlayStation. Not good on the Xbox. Ooh. Like really bad.
just really going for you.
Yeah.
There's a cat here. There's Ben. It's right here.
You guys are in my room.
Yeah, we are in your room. Ben, do you know anything? Do you want... What do you want remade?
What a question. Mad World.
Mad World?
Also, No More Heroes. One of those two games.
Both of those
Any
games?
Wii game that came out?
That's fair.
No More Heroes might have gotten a remake on the PS3 and I didn't fucking play it.
Oops.
I don't get it. I own all the games that I haven't played them in the first place, so.
That's fair. Nice. Thank you for your input.
None of it picked up. You're just fucking talking to nobody.
Ben came to join us for the last couple minutes there. And Dabooble has also come to join us for the last couple minutes.
Hey, Double.
Oh, she's a little kitty cat, that's for sure. Alright, well, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah,
Probably.
we're good.
I think we talked about all the remakes we like and don't like and what we want.
In theory, we should have done a how-to section, but I don't think anyone is...
I don't know how to make a remix.
Yeah.
I feel like we already hit all the things.
I feel like that's a big thing.
I feel like...
Anyone who listens to us is probably not like, I'm really glad they're covering this, because my next remake
next
is so
remake,
good.
Where I remake all of Kat's favorite things, including 1916.
Yes.
Will be very
Please
good.
still do that, though.
You don't have to.
She will
Yes,
pay
you
you to do it.
Yeah.
It's like,
My bag was in here anyways. I would have had to come in here if I was the video guy.
oh, shit. I lied to Ben. That's just how our relationship goes, I guess. I'm not allowed to say nice things about you on the podcast, remember?
So the opposite of a nice thing is to imply that our relationship is built on a bed of lies.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Wait, what? I think we did the episode now before my relationship falls apart on podcast.
You got close to it with those pulls last night.
Oh no, I talked about that in the video, no. Thanks for listening to Unsolicited Advice. I'm Bubblegum.
I'm Toxic.
I'm Ben.
And we'll see you next time.
When we remake this.
Bye.